Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I would like to call the Bamberg School District 1 Board of Trustees meeting to order. Today's date is August 16, 2021, and it is 6:30 p.m. Board members, you have the agenda in front of you. You've had an opportunity to review the board agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we accept the agenda as it's been presented. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the agenda, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now down to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes for July 19, 2021. You've had the opportunity to receive and review the meeting minutes, and before I put this on the floor for a motion, there is something I wanted to just make a note of, which is on page 2 of 4. Under C, the second paragraph that starts with Mrs. Brown introduced. If you could just double check for me, Jessica, Betsy Carpenter's name, I think the I may not be in there. So just double check that. Other than that, I didn't have a problem. So what is the pleasure of the board with regards to approval of the minutes for July 19, 2021?
Madam Chair, we accept the minutes with the change.
Okay.
As presented.
We have a motion on the floor that we accept the minutes with the change, if that's necessary. As it's been presented, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the minutes, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now down to item number 4, which is school reports. And first up is Dr. Kathleen Evans from Richard Carroll Elementary School. And I will turn it over to Dr. Evans.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You guys are doing well. The report from Richard Carroll is a little long, so I'm just going to make it a little condensed for you. It says on here we had 639 students enrolled. That was as of last Wednesday. Today we have 649. Last year this time we had 627, so we currently have 22 more students than we had this time last year. As far as COVID goes, we have 1 staff member currently quarantined and 0 staff members positive, and we have 2 students who have tested positive at this time. And then the other things that I think were important for you to know is we had Meet the Teacher last week on Wednesday from 5 to 6:30. We had 76% of our parents show up. We had 485 parents who attended, which I thought was phenomenal. And then there's some stuff on here about the summer reading update. And I added this because some of you guys had questions last month about summer reading and I didn't have those numbers yet. So I just included those here for you. If you have questions, please let me know. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Dr. Evans. Next up is Denise Miller with Bamberg Earhart Middle School.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We had a fabulous first day at the middle school. I'm still energized from today. Our students were well behaved. Our teachers did a great job preparing. Our staff and students did a great job following our COVID-19 health and safety protocols. You have a handout in front of you. Our numbers have slightly changed involving current enrollment. Our current enrollment right now is 190 overall, with 90 students in the 7th grade and 100 students in 8th grade. However, we have several students pending to enroll. COVID-19 cases for BEMS for the last few weeks have been 0. However, this week we do have 2 positive student cases and 1 student in quarantine. We had our 7th grade orientation, was last Tuesday, August 10th from 5 to 6:30. It was well attended. About 75 to 85% of students and parents attended. They picked up their schedules, met their teachers, and we had a little bit of pelican snowballs as well. And then last week, Monday, our teachers came in. We had a lot of effective professional development, and I shared the vision with my staff. And the vision this year is reset, rebuild, and recover. And we plan to recover everything that COVID-19 took from us last school year.
All right.
Any questions or anything? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Mr. Denny Omer with Bamberg Earhart High School.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Like everybody else, everything on my page has changed too. Turned it in last week. As of last week, COVID numbers, we had 1 as of August 10th. Well, we've got 0 positive cases, but we have 5 students who are currently quarantined, and we have two of our lunch ladies who are currently quarantined as well at our house here at the high school. Enrollment on the 10th was 356. This morning it was 361, and before I left today it was 359. We've had 20 new enrollments. That's kids who've not been enrolled in our school before enrolled this past week, and we've had 13 withdrawals. So every day we've got people enrolling and we've got people withdrawing. So maybe in another week or so our number will be a little more fluid, or a little more accurate about how many we've got. And we also have several that are pending that we don't have all the paperwork on yet. So. Currently, all our positions at Bamberg High School are filled. We had a meet and greet for our rising freshmen last Thursday night. We had 94 students in that class and had 77 kids report. So we had a pretty good turnout, and all of those had parents and at least 3 or 4 siblings running all over the building too. So we had a pretty good number of people in here Thursday night. That's what I got. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Those withdrawals, are they going to other schools,
Yes.
or are they going to?
Yes.
So they are attending other schools.
That is correct. Yeah.
Right.
We've lost a couple to Andrew Jackson, just 1 or 2. We've lost some to OutofState, and a lot of schools up north start later than us, so we may have kids. It might be another 2 or 3 weeks after Labor Day before those kids will actually be withdrawn. So. Hopefully by our 45-day count, it will be a good accurate number of how many kids we've got.
Probably after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yes, and Mr. Smith was actually promoted to a 2nd lieutenant rank this past weekend for the Army National Guard, so we're really proud of him. So.
Yeah.
So, y'all need anything from Norman, let him know.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Omer. Next up is item number 5, athletic updates. We have our athletic director, Mr. Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Right now, for our fall sports, they've kicked off, and we have about 150 students participating between football, volleyball, tennis, cross country, and cheer. So, first football game's this Friday at OutofState, 7:30. Volleyball, cross country, tennis, I think theirs is around August 31st, August 28th, somewhere in that area. So that's about a week or so later. The attendance for our games this year. For volleyball, we're going to pretty much do what we did last year. We're going to have it about 125, and that'll be about 100 in the bleachers, and that leaves about 25 that can sit up on the stage in the chairs, and we can put the teams across the court with nobody behind them. And football, we were going to try to do about 70% of our capacity, which is 2,500, but we may drop that a little bit with all that's going on right now. May drop it to about 1,500 or so, seeing what happens for our next home game. And as far as traveling the games, most of the teams are going to travel on one bus, and they're small enough they're going to skip a seat between every player. So if something happens on the bus, everyone should be 6 feet away from each other. Now, football, they're taking 3 buses just with their numbers, and they're putting about 12 kids on a bus. which will allow them to skip seats in between each other. And as far as tickets, we're going to sell tickets during the week at school. We're planning on selling them at the game, but like I said, now that may change also. We don't want long lines, so we may go back like we did last year, selling them nothing but during the week. We're just going to see how these numbers go and make decisions then. And we're going back to offering the all sports passes, and I will have y'all and your spouses one. I thought they were coming in today, but they didn't. But we're going to do it $80 for adults, $40 for our students, and it really is a pretty good deal. If they go to, right now we got 6 home football games, so that's $48 if they just go to those. And between basketball and the spring sports, they'll spend $300 getting in the games if they, attend a lot of them. So it's a pretty good deal with all sports pass. And we're still going to put signs up, make announcements about social distancing, asking people to wear a mask, and try to keep them as safe as we can. Any questions?
Are you still gonna plan on basically clearing out in between games, or will people be able to stay over games, or are you gonna clear out?
For basketball?
For the gym, for any sports that are in the gym?
Well, for volleyball, it's usually, I honestly have not thought about it for volleyball, because last year I think it was just, they were never JV and varsity together. It pretty much was just one or the other. And basketball, we cleared out, and probably, if it stays like this, we'll probably clear out again. Hopefully by the time basketball rolls around, it will calm down a little bit, and we won't have to do that. But for volleyball, that if we feel, in the next, I think our first home game may be the 31st, that if we feel like the numbers are still like they are now, we may clear it out, wipe everything down, let them come back in.
Any plans for homecoming?
Yeah, homecoming right now is September we had to redo the football schedule. I just finished it Saturday because we moved the region games up. I think homecoming right now is September the 10th is what the plan is. And last year we really couldn't do anything because of, and I don't see us being able to do much this year. Because that's only basically 3 weeks to a month away.
2 questions. One, are we advertising the season ticket passes?
We are. I know the Boosters Club advertised it, and I'm gonna put it when I get them. I'm gonna get Terrell to put it out on our Facebook page and all that stuff.
And you may want to call the radio station also and mention it to those guys. That's free advertising there.
All right.
And then the schedules, will they be on the school webpage?
Terrell to put them. I just printed
Okay.
and gave it to the front office today, and I'll get Terrell to put the new one. The football one's the only one that changed as of right now.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Next up, we have student staff recognition and superintendent's report, and I will turn that over to you, Ms. Brown.
Good evening, thank you. Good to see everybody. First of all, I'd like to say that over the last week, staff returned to work last week. We had a very good professional development week with lots of fun activities going on for everybody, from bus drivers to custodians to cafeteria workers to teachers. So I wanted to thank the principals and all the administrators, Coach Williams, for making sure that we had quality professional development provided to every single employee in the district. So also, I'd like to present the board with a plaque that we were given by Ms. Laura Buss, who heads up our food share. Bamberg District 1 is in partnership with the food share. That's where they prepare the food baskets and hand them out for needy families in our community. So Bamberg 1 was presented with a partnership plaque, so thank you for partnering with that organization. Second, I'd like to recognize Ms. Janice Walker. Ms. Walker has achieved level 6 as a school board member from South Carolina School Board Association, and she took and passed the written exam that is required for that. And as you know, that's the highest level that one can achieve, being a school board member. So I'd like to give a round of applause and congratulations to Ms. And Ms. Walker works very hard for all of our schools and for the board, so good for her, it shows. Also, Ms. Walker will be recognized February 17th through 20th at the South Carolina School Boards Association's annual convention. So we look forward to that. I would like to, I know you've heard all the principals talk about COVID, but right now district-wide, as of earlier this afternoon, we have about 9 students that are quarantined from COVID. We have one positive case, and we do have one positive staff member. And we have 2 others quarantined. So just wanted to give you an overall district picture, some and all of what the principals gave you.
Okay.
Also, on your desk, you have a picture. It says, "Welcome back." South Carolina School Boards Association sent these out to schools and suggested that we do this fun little activity for board members to take pictures with this. Bamberg School District 2 did it last Monday night. I'd like to ask the board for your cooperation in doing this for us, maybe during or after executive session, grabbing a quick picture with you guys holding the picture so we can post these in and around our school and our websites. Because I know that you all sent emails and messages welcoming all of us back to school. But this would be a good way to publicly show that and to show families and students that you continue to be involved in front of the scenes and behind the scenes in supporting all that we do.
Okay. Any other questions with regards to what she's already talked about? Okay, if not, then we will move to number 7, which is request for out-of-state overnight trip, and I'll turn it over to you, Mrs. Brown.
Okay, it's a little different tonight. Normally, as you know, request for out-of-state travel is brought before the board for approval. However, we are under consolidation legislation now, and that's different. All out-of-state travel for students and staff has to be approved by the delegation. Therefore, tonight, I'm bringing this to your attention to let you know that I'm working closely with Mr. Boykin's office, and we have submitted a request for this out-of-state travel to our delegates at the state and the legislation, and they will be the ones approving out-of-state travel. But as you know, we do have our FFA chapter back at Bamberg High School. Attending state and national conventions is a requirement for chapters. Therefore, we are seeking approval from our legislators for this trip. And I will relay back to you their decision. We will receive a written response and approval or disapproval straight from them. So tonight, it's just FFA or FYI for you for the FFA, where they'll be going, why, and how many kids and that kind of thing.
You want to move on to item number 8, consolidation updates, if there's any?
Sure, and I'll just combine 8 and 9 because it's
Okay.
talking about the same thing.
Okay.
As you know, as of July 1, we're sharing superintendent and sharing assistant superintendent. Keeps Dr. Simmons and I very busy, but we have done, we've been working hard, and all of our staff have done a phenomenal job infusing systems. Our finance department is continuing to combine there where we can, and we're sharing services still with technology, finance, technology coach. We're continuing to build our curriculum. I would like to recognize Dr. Brewington and Ms. Sharon Zine right now. They, as you know, we started with the science curriculum and joining our curriculums across the 2 districts. They have completed the curriculum and pacing guides for Bamberg 1 and 2 for this school year, and they are now already working on next year's curriculum and pacing guides. So they've done they worked all summer, and they were prepared and fully handed all science teachers on day 1 their curriculum and pacing guides for the entire year. So they've done a phenomenal job. We now begin working on ELA and mathematics. We've already formed our curriculum teams, led by Dr. Lorraine Peoples from Bamberg School District 2, as well as some identified lead curriculum teachers here to serve on that, and they're beginning work on that. We just got to get schools open, so that's well underway. Also sharing more in the areas of special education and student services. We have now fully formed our evaluation team and tri-fi team that will be serving both districts, and got started with that as of today. So, well underway.
Okay. All right, so we are now down to item number 10, which is the first reading of updated policy GCD-GDD, professional support staff and annual leave.
Yes, and as you know, we've mentioned in previous board meetings, we are reviewing and revising several of our board policies and getting them up to date. This will also, when it comes time to fully develop our new board policies for the consolidated districts, having some little nuances already taken care of will make that go a lot smoother. We are correcting some of the wording here, getting clearer on taking annual leave. It will now be subject to the same rules and regulations that govern personal leave. There have always been some questions about annual leave and personal leave. Therefore, is counted the same now. It's the same as what we discussed in the previous policy about teachers not taking off the first 2 weeks of school and the last 2 weeks of school. And that will be the same for everybody across the board. Okay, so I'm asking the board for first reading. The only paragraph that changed under annual leave is that second paragraph, the last line.
Okay. All right, board members, you've had an opportunity to hear Mrs. Brown. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to first reading on this updated policy?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve first reading of policy GCD-GDD.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approving the first reading, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. We are now down to item number 11, which is the monthly financial report. And I will also turn that over to Mrs. Brown in Ms. Furr's absence.
Yes, and I apologize, Ms. Furr could not be here tonight. She was working late at the district office with the contractors doing some work in the district office, but she has provided you with a copy of the financial report, and she said to relay to any of you, if you had any questions, please contact her.
Okay. Board members, you've had an opportunity to receive and review the monthly financial report. What is the pleasure with regards to this report?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the financial report as it is written today.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we accept the financial report as it's been written and presented. Is there a second? Second. A motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. We are down to item number 12, which is visitors' comments, and we have Mr. Ken Allen.
Well, you're all sitting, I've got nothing, so I'll wait all right.
Going twice, all right. All right, Mr. Allen doesn't have any comments, but we still thank you for coming. And we are down to item number 13, which is executive session. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to going into executive session?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we go to executive session to discuss items A, B, and C, personnel recommendations for resignations, and personnel recommendation for hires and students transfers.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of going into executive session, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now going into executive session to discuss A, personnel recommendation for resignations if needed, B, personnel recommendation for hires if needed, and C, student transfer requests if needed. We are now in executive session. All right, board members, I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
That we come out of executive session at this time.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we come out of executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? All right, if you're in favor of coming out of executive session, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now out of executive session. We are down to item number 14, action on executive session items. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the personnel recommendation for resignations for employee 1, and that we accept the that we accept the student transfer request for students 1 through 12, and then student number 13 contingent on his release from his assigned school district.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. We are down to item number 15, which is to adjourn. What's the pleasure of the board on adjourning this meeting?
I will make that motion to adjourn.
All right, Mr. Duncan, Trustee Duncan has made the motion that we adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor, 2 seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, this meeting is adjourned.